this is Laura Ingraham. I think, yeah, okay. I wanted to play do the Tucker one first because he's so easy to upset. There's a kid character that the kids in the hall used to do. I'll find it one second.
Good evening and welcome.
There was a kids in the hall character named Gavin. Yeah. I loved the Gavin character. I used to watch the kids in the hall. He's just this like annoying kid in the neighborhood.
Little hair of the dog.
So Gavin is this kid. It's a Bruce McCullough character.
So you're painting a chair, hey?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing, all right.
That's why I stopped.
I see.
So I suppose you want me to paint your chair?
No, thanks. I'll do it fine.
Oh, okay. There's this kid in my class, and she lives on her own without any parents or guardians, and she's 8.
So I love Gavin. I love the Gavin character. I won't play too much of it because I'll probably get a copyright strike. But that's what I hear when Tucker Carlson speaks. Like, I am completely convinced that Tucker Carlson is Gavin all grown up and got contacts. So I heard that on the news that Black Lives Matter is an organization that wants to paint the Capitol black. But this is part of a two-tiered attack that we'll move this over here. There we go. Where Laura Ingraham, and they're hitting this from both sides, but this is the story. This is the guys. The left is straight up Marxist, and the Republicans, there's no such thing as the Republican Party anymore. They're gone.
Welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight.
No one is welcome at Tucker Carlson tonight. I'm just saying. No one. No one at all.
Happy Friday. A lot going on, but some big trends too, and you think about them.
You think about them. Yeah, if you think about it, like, I don't know.
You often wonder, what is going on?
Are you painting a chair? Do I? Maybe that would explain, like, this business. I can't even do that. Like, I have it's this side. I have one slanty crease. That's my left eyebrow muscle is much stronger than my right, apparently. And so when I get a crinkle, it's not even on both sides. It's just this side, right? Now you won't be able to stop staring at it, will you?
And for quite some time now, we've wondered what's going on with congressional Republicans. A lot of nice people in the Republican.
What's going on? What is going on? If there was a more Trumpian question, what the hell is going on? What is going on? I don't have a solution for anything.
Party. But the point
of a party is to represent its voters, and they're not doing that. Which, by the way, if he goes into the fact that 60% of Republicans support the infrastructure bill, the voters, the actual voters, and support a public option, for example, 53% of Republicans support a public option when asked about it. Not Medicare for all, but a public option. They're right in line with the middle of the country in that regard. If he goes, why are 0 Republicans voting in the House and Senate for something that over 50% of Republican voters want? If he goes into that, I'm eating this microphone.
The point of a political party is not to be nice, it's to represent the interests of its voters. That's the
right. It's also not the responsibility of the party to be awful, evil, stupid, dictatorial, and foolish. They should also represent the all right.
Only reason political parties exist in the first place. There's no other reason to have them except
you hear that, Whigs?
To represent their own voters. Yet year after year...
No. That's not actually true. The reason parties exist is because they represent what they believe is the best path forward. They have a share of the voters. They believe that their philosophy is in line with those folks, but it is not to run the country against the other voters. That's what foreign countries like Russia and North Korea and China and Iran theoretically are doing, right? That would make all political parties foreign interceptors. No, the goal of a party for real is to vote and operate in a way that's best for the country, even if the other side disagrees with you, recognizing they're not your enemy. They are simply people that have a different philosophy on how to best achieve a common goal. And the common goal would be the Constitution. And that's what...
Stop using the word democracy.
I'm sorry. I'm just not... What word should I use instead, Tucker?
I like would.
Okay, so if in the name of would...
On issue after issue, the leadership of the Republican Party fails to represent its voters. And we're not...
Huh. Yeah. But not the way you think they do.
Guessing about that. We know what Republican voters care about. They tell pollsters all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And since they kept getting ignored in 2016, they elected Donald Trump just to make it incredibly clear.
That's what it was. Yeah, it's the rhinos drove them that way.
Clear what they cared about.
Yeah, it wasn't that they had been driven to hate Hillary Clinton largely because of her pushing S-chip in the 90s, because that's a communist, Marxist, socialist takeover, because we're providing insurance for poor kids, poor American kids.
That wasn't a wake-up call. Nothing would be. And yet nothing really changed. It remains true as of right now that the priorities of the people who run the Republican Party are very different, in some cases completely different,
Ooh.
from the priorities of the people who vote Republican.
Ooh. What would that be?
Why is that?
What a ha-ha.
Well, there are a lot of reasons for it, probably, but Frank Luntz is definitely...
Well, here's a good idea. Put some of them up as you're talking so we know what the shit you're talking about. So we know you're not cherry-picking stuff that you like that they haven't acted on or been able to get a bill to the floor because they're not in control of things. If that's what you're talking about, you're... All right.
Definitely one of those reasons. Luntz, Dr. Frank I. Luntz, as he is often called at his request, is the
is pointing at your part.
Republican Party's longest-serving message man. For decades, Frank Luntz has told elected Republicans what to say and precisely how to say it.
And while they were following his lead, they were increasing their majority and ultimately won the House and the Senate and had control of stuff for a good long while. As a matter of fact, their presidential candidates had won the presidency even when they didn't win the popular vote, because he was targeting messaging to specific areas of the country which benefit them in the Electoral College. And I see.
Luntz massages language for politicians.
No, I'm not.
I like would.
All right.
He does it now. Just this week, in fact, the National Republican Congressional Committee, the NRCC, invited Luntz to Florida for its so-called policy summit, where he
because they don't control anything and they would like to?
Was asked to weigh in on the hot topics. Luntz's job was to tell Republicans, office holders, people with power, how to think about the most important issues of the day. Now, we didn't hear the presentation.
I'm sorry. No, it's not. No, it isn't. Can we just not breeze past bullshit like that? It's not what to tell them what to think at all. He knows what they think. He's there to tell them what they should say to get what they think into legislative territory where they can get it passed. Because their problem is they are saying what they think, and it's screwing up their whole plan. So instead of saying what you really think, Frank Luntz says, tell you what, you think this, say it like this.
Doubt it was compelling. Frank Luntz is a smooth salesman. That's why he's been around for a while.
Yeah, because it's his job. He knows language, dummy. That's his whole goal. Now, granted, he doesn't have a white supremacist, misogynist, incel psychopath as his head writer for years like you do, Tuck.
The problem with Frank Luntz is that
he was right when you were listening to him, and then everybody thought, oh, well, he's like training wheels. Now that we have Trump, we don't need him anymore. And then you lost everything.
His views, his personal views, are very different from those of your average Republican voter.
Okay, let's hear it.
Frank Luntz is a conventional liberal.
He's a conventional liberal. Did I miss the convention? I did, didn't I? Shit. Shouldn't I be getting a lanyard?
His main clients are left-wing corporations like Google. When Frank Luntz gives advice to congressional Republicans, he's got Google's perspective in mind.
Does he? He has Google's perspective in mind. I see. Here you go. And by the way, we have someone in the chat, and I don't know why. Sorry, 1 second. Give me 1 second. Let's see. There you go. And then we'll do this. Yeah. So we had someone. We had a cut and paste troll in the Facebook thing going, I don't know why I came across your stupid channel. Well, take a peek and split. But thanks for the eyeballs.
That's a huge problem.
Is it? Because maybe he's helping you translate to a greater part of the electorate than you actually represent.
We wanted to talk to Luntz about all of this on the show tonight. Nothing personal, but it's interesting and it's important. So we texted him an invitation this morning, but he did not.
We texted him an invitation this morning. I'm sorry, was there a big news story, Tucker, that happened in the last 24 hours that reshaped the languaging and the messaging and the rhinos and blah, blah, blah? You haven't been working on this for a while. You can't reach out to him and go, hey, can you come on the show Friday? We're going to do a segment about that. You don't think that far ahead? You just went, get Luntz on today's show, whatever. He can't. Oh. Well, obviously, we'll do a whole segment about how he was too much of a coward to come on.
Not respond. That's odd since we've known him well for a long time.
Maybe he was on the toilet. He chose not to respond because he isn't. Maybe it's because your show is no longer a right-wing political show. It is now the apology tour channel for the Matt Gaetzes and Rudy Giulianis of the world, where you go and you basically spackle over the holes in their souls and character.
In 2019, for example, he tweeted us this greeting, which tells you a lot about the kind of person Frank Luntz is. Quote,
this Thanksgiving, let's give thanks to the men and women of the FBI, CIA, and the intel services. In 2019, when the... What? Please tell me, Tucker Carlson, that you're saying that wishing people who work in the FBI and the CIA, people who, by the way, unlike soldiers who get their medals in public, if they die, they get a little star on the wall and that's it. You don't even get to tell people. Like, if you... Are you fucking insane? When did Tucker become like an anarchist, black-clad bottle thrower? Like, Tucker, where were you last week? Because somebody about your height was throwing Molotov cocktails at the Portland police station, and I'm starting to think it was you. Can you imagine Republicans? All right, well, let me see what he's going to say. Please tell me you're going to say that this is a bad thing.
This Thanksgiving, let's give thanks to the men and women of the FBI, the CIA, and the intel services.
Okay. Did he follow it up with a F-12?
That's literally what the message said. It's on the screen.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot. Most of the people who watch Tucker regularly can't read.
Even on Thanksgiving, Frank Luntz takes time to bow before the powerful.
Whoa! Bow before the powerful. What? This is Fox News. Holy hell. Did he say the always right, never wrong? We were all wrong about J. Edgar Hoover. Did he say shit like that? Was he like, this Thanksgiving, let's give thanks for the Patriot Act. No. The men and women of the FBI, CIA, and intel services. People who die in secret so you don't. So you, Tucker, can not worry about living in the New York City area. Well, you don't live there. You just have a little place you stay when your wife's out of town, and then you go have dinner with Matt Gaetz and some 17-year-old, and the woman you were with turns out not to be your wife or something like that. It's hard to keep track. But the people of the FBI, CIA, and the intel services are the very reason why you live in New York and you're not dead. Why is that some off the chain? This is some straight up Q bullshit. Look at it. Luntz didn't respond to our request to come on, and then this picture of him where he's pointing, but if you cut off the top of it, it looks like he's got his fist in the air.
So why does Frank Luntz remain a fixture in Republican politics?
Yeah, when the Republicans would never wish a happy Thanksgiving to the men and women who serve the FBI, the CIA, and the intel services. I can't. How is this asshole even still on Fox? I mean, this is amazing. Think about the innocuous nature of that Frank Luntz tweet. And I'm not even a fan of the guy. I don't care. But that's in the entirety. Frank Luntz is a language dude who's been working with Republicans forever. There's plenty of shit to stomp him on, I guess, right and left because of messaging he's been right and wrong about. You could pull up something and say, yeah, he told us to say this. Look what happened. We lost 5 congressional seats. But it is Tucker Carlson's baseline premise that it is effectively against the normal Republican National Party. The Republican Party is, as we've known it forever, since Reagan, that's gone because they listen to people who would say Happy Thanksgiving to the people in the FBI and the CIA and the intel services, who are often separated from their families while we're all sitting around watching a game and falling into a tryptophan coma. They're dealing with child sex traffickers, the big favorite of the Q. You know, those are the people who shut that shit down. If you want it shut down, that's who does it.
At a time when the companies he works for are opposed to the Republican Party. Explicitly.
The companies that he works for are opposed. Oh, because CNN hires him to be the redneck whisperer?
So. Well, in part because he is particularly close to the House Minority Leader, Kevin McCarthy of California. And
I don't know where this is going now.
Has been since McCarthy entered politics. In an interview earlier this year, Luntz described Kevin McCarthy as
Luntz is particularly close to Kevin McCarthy. The guy, by the way, who would crawl through broken glass to sniff Trump's farts just for a hint of how he should behave.
Personal friend.
If this ends with Tucker Carlson turning on Trump, we're here for it. Where's the popcorn?
And that relationship gives...
He's not. I'm just kidding. It's not even remotely a possibility. Thanks. Yay.
Frank Luntz out...
Thanks for the subscribing. Thank you, Tony, for gifting subs, by the way, on Twitch. Thank you. Twitch.tv/AlSparks. And, of course, infotainmentwars.com or Nudesmax1X. They charge you by the X. What can I say?
...sized influence over the Republican Party's policy positions. The big ones. Take the border crisis. Frank Luntz's view of immigration is very much like Google's view of immigration.
Is it? If you Google who screwed up the border, Trump's name comes up. Is that the view?
America needs a lot more immigration right away.
Are we talking about Google, the company? You mean because they want more programmers from India brought into the country, that has something to do with the southern border?
And anyone who disagrees with that is a racist.
No, anybody who disagrees with your false premise. You just made it up. You're a racist because you're taking that and saying it's this and saying the two are the same, and therefore there's a stampede of brown people and Google is paying for it. Like, that's nuts.
Now, rather than simply say that out loud, rather than make the case for his own opinions, Frank Luntz slyly dresses up his own personal opinions as social science. He'll conduct something called a focus group.
What's that? Focus groups. Where have we heard? I don't know. That sounds bad. Focus groups. Have we ever? I don't know. Is that a group of people who get naked, cover themselves in oil, and then take Focus Factor? Focus groups. When did focus groups start? Oh my God, I hope Hollywood doesn't look into these things. They're going to change the endings of my favorite films.
That's a moderated conversation between several people that has, in fact, no actual relevance to anything.
Fox has focus groups. Fox has on-air focus groups. Fox brings on Trump voters and Republicans and Democrats and has little focus groups. They've had that. They do that on their... They have focus groups every time they have a new graphics package for a new show. Holy hell. When Shep Smith left and they put somebody in his place, they put together a graphics package for whoever that person's going to be, and they show it to a focus group of Fox viewers and go, do you like the color scheme? Do you like the box? Like, don't pretend this is... Frank Luntz didn't invent this just to screw the Republican Party.
It's just random people yammering.
Oh, you mean like Fox's nighttime lineup? Seriously. I know that, I defended Ted Nugent yesterday on Twitter, if only to say that the people who are saying shut up and sing to him, or shut up and rock, or whatever they were doing, or stay in your lane, I told those people to go fuck themselves, because I'm not going to play in that, and I don't appreciate it when the other side does it to my side at all. I thought it was wrong when they said it to the Dixie Chicks. I think that's wrong when they're saying it to Ted. And I want him to be able to say his piece so I can take a big bear shit on it in public. I am fine with that.
Your 90-second exchange with the UPS guy this morning.
Why is Tucker Carlson a valid voice then? Because he's been a pundit or in media for a long time? Because he's had this job in one form or another for a long time, and he's been wrong, easily wrong more than he's been right, in a way that would get you kicked off of any kind of assembly line. If you had a job repairing vacuum cleaners, if you broke that many vacuum cleaners, comparatively, like 56 to that's your record. 56% of the time when you show up to repair a vacuum cleaner, you break it. Do you think you'd still have your job? Your Yelp reviews would look pretty crappy, but those are focus groups in their own way. So
meant more than a Frank Luntz focus group, and yet purely on the basis of
why would talking to your UPS driver mean more than a Frank Luntz focus group? Why would talking to 9 people moderated talking about them be less value than one guy you ran into?
That irrelevant conversation.
Yeah, you could not work at a Swanson factory with Tucker Carlson's record.
Yeah. Luntz manages to make pronouncements about the country and how the Republican Party should respond to it. Most of those pronouncements, as you can imagine, tend to comport perfectly with his own views, as well as with the views of Google executives. Axios recently reported on Luntz's findings about immigration.
Exclusive. Frank Luntz previews a feasible immigration compromise. You mean the actual bill that, were it brought to the floor in a normal universe, Republicans would vote for it?
So what did Frank Luntz supposedly find out about immigration? Well, it turns out, according to Frank Luntz, that Republican voters, in fact, are dying to give amnesty to as many foreign nationals as they possibly can. They're demanding it right away.
Yeah, I doubt that's what he came away with, because even Democratic focus groups don't act like that. I'm going to go out on a limb that the idea that amnesty for anybody happens, even if they've been living here for 20 years, and it would be nice if they paid taxes since they're not going anywhere else, and their children are effectively Americans in terms of DACA recipients, that I'm guessing that this is a view of inside Tucker's head at the panic of that idea, not that,
It's a top priority for them. Watch.
Well, it's a top priority when you're discussing immigration.
They believe in immigration.
By the way, if I was, like, Donald Trump has a look on his face right now that says, wait, they make fun of my hair? So.
In immigration, they are.
And by the way, that's not an accident. Look at this. Look at this graphic they set up. Trump does not like at all what Frank Luntz is saying in his twisty staircase Upper East Side apartment or wherever he is.
Pro-immigration. And honestly, I was a little surprised because of what I see reported in the media. Trump voters support.
And by the way, is Frank Luntz on CNN right now in this clip? Did anybody notice? I thought they were going to a CNN clip because I think he officially works for CNN as one of their pollsters that they hire, that they do these groups. This is just a straight up interview. This is from Newsmax.
The DREAM Act. They support the ability of these people who are brought here through no fault of their own, the ability to earn a path to citizenship. We need these people. We actually have an economy that's expanding, that's growing.
I was a little surprised to find out that deep down Republican voters agree with me and Google.
This has always been the case. I mean, where do you think Reagan got the idea for his amnesty? You think it was all like hyper left-wing, crazy, radical Marxists that like got in his ear because they, paid off Nancy Reagan's astrologer to tell him that?
We were not surprised. We're all the children of immigrants, he told us. We need these people. Now, that may be entirely true, or maybe...
Nevertheless, is this the Dinesh D'Souza turn that we all have to take? That might be true, but why would you say it? I don't know. I'm painting a chair.
It's not true. We can debate it. But Frank Luntz doesn't want to debate it. Probably why he didn't come on tonight. He wants instead to pretend that his personal opinions are established fact and that the Republican Party had better listen to them and obey.
No, that's not how you answer that. You throw up a series of polls that point in the opposite direction, and instead of just trying to character assassinate a dude who's effectively trying to help you assholes win again.
Open Borders activists immediately seized upon Luntz's research to justify what
Open Borders activists, of which there are almost none,
they were already doing.
By the way, open border activists just love Frank Luntz.
Keeping the borders open.
National Immigration Forum. Okay. DACA has long had bipartisan support. True. Congress can and should pass legislation that gives Dreamers the security and stability they've earned. True. Where's the... I'm sorry. Please tell me this is a thread. Oh, and P.S. Open the borders. Start a stampede. We need masses amount of, of Guatemalans we can trick into voting Democratic by 2022 because... What the next thing he's going to do is show us a tweet where the National Immigration Forum wishes the FBI and the CIA a happy Thanksgiving.
The National Immigration Forum tweeted out a link right away. DACA has bipartisan support.
What? And by the way, did they name check Frank Luntz in that? Are they citing him? Please tell me there's a follow-up tweet because they tweet this kind of stuff all the time.
The group wrote.
Honestly, what else would you expect from the National Immigration Forum? That's like saying that the NRA tweeted, guns don't kill people, people kill people. And me going, oh, what?
Pointing to Frank Luntz's opinions posing as research as evidence of that. Passing the DREAM Act is an opportunity to make real, meaningful progress.
Well, how does it point to it? I mean, honestly, maybe it does. Maybe there's a link to this, but now I'm becoming like Tucker Carlson confused. Maybe it does. Maybe they do put it there. I don't know. I'm painting a chair.
You see? Amnesty has broad bipartisan support. There's a
DACA does. DACA does. It absolutely does. It's not even surprising. And not just amongst, like, career Republicans. It literally, like, Republican voters in mass. It's one of the ways that they can go, yeah, I'll give you DACA, but those people got to go. Like, that's the way they balance their argument so they don't come across as racist. And I guess if you don't care and your entire job is Stormfront dog whistles, maybe you don't give a crap.
A national consensus in favor of opening the border. So
that's not, how is that related? How is giving DACA recipients a stable path to citizenship over the course of 8 to 10 years, where they can't commit a crime, they got to pay their taxes, they have to, they got to jump through more hoops than Tucker has to.
Republicans had better get on board because Frank Luntz's research proves they desperately want it.
Okay, so show me the footage. Here it comes. This got to be the wind-up. Please tell me this is a wind-up where halfway through this, he goes, let me show you what people really think.
This is pretty close to fraud, actually.
How? Where's your argument? Please show. You've shown me the same picture of Frank Luntz at, I guess, his aunt's wedding.
Who is served by it? That's always the question in Washington. Well, Frank Luntz's corporate clients are served by it, of course, but also the Democratic Party is served by it.
Why aren't Republicans served by it? Why wouldn't South American Latinos who've been living here for a long time, who have very conservative values, many of whom are pro-choice, why are they off the table to vote for Republicans? Why are you writing them off? I'll tell you why, Tucker. Because you don't want them even if they agree with you. And I can't imagine why.
A party whose priorities Frank Luntz appears to support.
Are all Republicans racist? No. Is Tucker? Yeah.
Here he is.
Look at the fucking panic from this douchebag. Every time. Do you realize how much your brain has to be frozen on the fear of a brown wave to not recognize that DACA recipients, somewhere in the order of what? How many? 800,000 was the highest number I saw, I think, that have been living here, that don't even speak Spanish. They've been living in the United States their entire lives. They are effectively undocumented Americans. And conflating them with people from Guatemala who are seeking refuge or asylum, who may live here temporarily and then go back if their country stabilizes, which many asylum seekers do, and or with this stampede across the border. Equating those two is exactly your problem, Tucker. That's why we don't shy away from complexity on my show. That's why I'm not afraid to recognize there are varying degrees of stuff. And here on planet Earth, and, you know, we can deal with that. We can recognize the difference between DACA, military-age men coming across the border just for economic reasons, and families seeking asylum. We can recognize the temporary stays of certain asylum seekers who don't end up becoming citizens, who end up going back to their country, and those that want to seek citizenship over time and the rules and regulations they would have to follow for that to be a potential. That's a lot. There's a lot in there. That's why you have to have a comprehensive immigration bill, which most Republicans, poll-wise, have supported for decades. Even when the problem was equally as bad or worse.
Is back in 2012 telling the rest of us that according to his highly scientific surveys of a dozen people in some shopping mall somewhere, most Americans actually really want the government to take their guns away.
The public wants guns out of the schools, not in the schools. And
NRA's, okay, Pew Research, NRA's influence over gun laws. 36% too much, 19% too little, almost nobody, 28% right amount.
They're not asking for a security official or someone else. I don't think the NRA is listening. I don't think that they understand. Most Americans would protect the Second Amendment rights and yet agree with the idea that not every human being should own a gun. Not every gun should be available at any time, anywhere.
See, that's ridiculous. I mean, honestly, if there's an ideology that's aligned currently with Tucker Carlson and the Republican Party, of course, it's that we should have guns and hollow points, clips already full of hollow points, available in vending machines anywhere toddlers are present. Also, we should outlaw gun locks. We should outlaw and strike as constitutional any unconstitutional any limitation on someone with, mental health issues, a history of being a violent felon, like all the laws where a felon, a violent felon who's been let out of prison can't own a gun, like that needs to go. No, by the way, this is a bend of hyperbole, but in 2012, did Republicans en masse think that guns should be available? And they certainly as shit don't now.
Or anyone.
Yeah, most people agree. Notice the language there. Did you listen carefully to that?
Yes, most people do agree that guns shouldn't be randomly available to anyone who wants them at any time.
You can protect the Second Amendment even as you gut it. It's just...
Gut it? What's gutting it? You can't own a bazooka, dickhead.
It's common sense gun control. Most of...
No, it's common sense gun regulations.
Americans are for that.
They are, including Republicans, including a majority of NRA members.
Who does that sound like?
It sounds like people. It sounds like all of us on Earth, and we're talking to someone on Moonbase asshole.
It sounds a lot like Joe Biden.
Because Joe Biden has a very even-keeled view of the gun issue. That's not Frank Luntz. That's a clip from 2012. That's not Frank Luntz trying to be more like Joe Biden. The buy a shotgun, fire a blast into the air, fire another one into the air, and if they come at you, pelt them, what is it? Rock salt, buckshot, birdshot, buckshot, right? I forget what we got to get Bill Burr on to tell us what the order of shots should be. I think it's rock salt, birdshot, buckshot. And then and then at that point, it's birdshot, buckshot, birdshot, buckshot.
Frank Luntz has been friends with for a long time. Check out the note from Frank Luntz to Hunter Biden on Hunter's laptop.
Okay, show it.
What you just heard in that clip,
what
the Democratic
note? What note? Show the note, dickhead. Show it. Show the forgery, Tucker, so we can all see the forgery. Show us that, and then watch me ask you to post the metadata on that email that's a note that's on the laptop. Show me it. Put it on the air. Stand by it. Anchor yourself in supporting the idea that that forgery is real. And then get a digital copy of it from your good friend Rudy Giuliani, who has never lied to you. And then show us all the metadata of where that email came from. Do it. Do it.
Party talking point.
Do it.
I like wood. But if you'd like more, there's this. This is an interview from last summer.
Last summer? Who was president last summer? I've forgotten.
Which Frank Luntz explains that the phrase law and order is somehow offensive to most Americans.
It is. It wasn't working. He was trying to help Republicans.
Keep in mind that at the very moment...
By the way, Frank Luntz also was one of the people who said the Make America Great Again slogan was a winner and would help and would work, and it did for a time, and it helped Republicans and the problem is they basically flooded the engine by not taking their foot off the gas on it ever. They didn't realize they had to mitigate it at times, otherwise they would come across as assholes.
Frank Luntz was saying this, American cities were on fire. People were dying. Why? Because there was no law and no order.
No. The the riots and looting were happening because of the public perception, rightly or wrongly, that police were hunting down black men, and there were more and more examples of that were freaking people out and driving them out in the street. It wasn't that they were simply like, I don't believe in law and in the judicial system. There was a big bunch of people who started to believe that they were finally being heard on the idea that it didn't affect them in a positive sense. They were left to live with the ramifications of the bad side of it. There was no law. There was no order for them. And by the way, you guys were painting the regular protesters as the same as the rioters and looters, and never answering to the fact that the Boogaloo Boys were showing up, never answering to the fact that anarchists are not Democrats. You know, but that's complex. We live here on Earth, moon-base asshole, right?
Where I was critical.
Bah, Larry King. Goodbye, Larry. Larry was a very nice guy, and the last conversation I had with him, he and his wife defended their love and respect for Donald Trump. It was very awkward, and they couldn't understand why I did not like the man. It was very weird. But Larry was always nice to me, and I made him laugh a couple of times.
That he used the words law and order. He is assuming that we have the same politics as 1968. Donald Trump doesn't...
Right. It didn't work. It's not that law and order is bad. It's not that having laws and having order are bad. It's that him hashtagging law and order or yelling law and order is actually helpful while he's breaking the law and arguing that... Keep in mind, how did we start this flap fest from Tucker? That Frank Luntz said, Happy Thanksgiving to the FBI, the CIA, and the intel services.
Realize that you...
And that doing that was somehow bad. But Donald Trump is the guy to yell law and order.
Can govern.
Yeah, with that look on his face.
In a strong, stable, successful way, and still use language that is warm and kind and empathetic.
Right. He was trying to help Republicans win. They were losing, okay?
Yeah, stop.
Trump was losing at that point, horribly. And he lost horribly. And he never changed and followed Frank Luntz's advice. And there is a huge argument to be made that had Trump was even capable of a marginal level of empathy. Sorry, my iPad shut down. If he could ever go, oh, yeah, they're not hearing me. They're hearing something else when I use those words. I'll use these words and therefore fix it. If he was capable of doing that on his own, there's an argument he would have won the election. Because his COVID response would have been different. If he had that skill as a human being, he would have handled COVID differently emotionally, but he also would have, in his presentation, he wouldn't have taken it as a strike against his ego that it was even happening. And in his defense of the stock market, would have recognized, oh, well, you know, what'll really screw up the stock market is if I ignore this and we don't treat it as seriously as we should. Take something that would be a hard, quick dip into a long, drawn-out, painful one.
Stopping riots isn't warm and kind and empathetic. It doesn't help equity.
Riots? Sorry? Was that what he said? Sorry, what'd you say, Tucker?
Yeah, stopping riots isn't warm and kind and empathetic.
Did tweeting law and order stop a riot ever? Did not showing up and honoring a subpoena in the House, or not letting members of your cabinet honor their subpoenas in the House, was that an example of law and order? Does that stabilize our belief that we have a functioning judicial system and that our laws mean something? When did yelling law and order randomly? It didn't. It did not help. It did not help stop the riots at all. Is it within the president's capability to stop riots or soften them? I would argue it is, to a limited extent. But Trump never tried. He just vilified the people who were protesting because of the behaviors of rioters and looters.
Doesn't help equity. If that sounds a lot like something a corporate HR executive might say, you should not be surprised by that.
You mean the kind of corporate HR in huge, giant, successful companies with a diverse workforce that actually makes a huge profit, unlike Fox which is currently having its ass kicked by Newsmax and OAN.
As we told you a minute ago, Luntz's main business is not helping the Republican Party. No, his main business is working for left-wing companies that despise the Republican Party, are horrified by
So he's a mole.
Republican voters and everything they believe. Frank Luntz's long list of corporate clients.
How is this? He does polling for everybody. He does focus groups for everybody. And the reason these big companies pick him is because he's good at it. And he has no stake in the game. He's almost like morally vacuous. He'll work for either side, and he'll tell you what languages will sell your shit.
Clients include Jeff Bezos' Amazon, Facebook, Nike, Coca-Cola,
Facebook, which if there was no Facebook, there would have been no Donald Trump.
Disney, Delta Airlines, the Chamber of...
And Delta's the problem because they're in Georgia and they have a problem with it. The who?
Commerce.
The Chamber of Commerce. That big lefty Marxist organization, the Chamber of Commerce. Coca-Cola, the company that had hit squads operating in India over water rights.
These are the people who pay Frank Luntz's bills.
Along with the Republican Party, but only if he's right.
In his spare time, Frank Luntz tells Kevin McCarthy how to run the Republican Party.
Well, they're both doing a bang-up job. Maybe he is a mole.
Now, you can do one, you can't do...
Because if he's telling Kevin McCarthy how to run the Republican Party, and Kevin McCarthy is running down to kiss Trump's ass at Mar-a-Lago, either he's not following the advice or Frank Luntz's advice sucks.
Both. You can see the conflict here. And you wonder...
Why is there a conflict? It might just be that Frank Luntz is like tires. They can be on the cop car or the getaway car. If they're on both, that's because it doesn't matter your moral convictions. If you want to get somewhere quickly, you need Frank Luntz tires.
How has this been allowed to continue?
Allowed to continue. Oh my God. How has this been allowed to continue? Why has no one put a stop to this? What is going on? Okay. How did Frank Luntz sneak in here? Just because he helped us win like 8 elections in a row that we statistically should not have won because of public opinion and our actual voter base. How has this been allowed to continue? Is that a real thought that came out of his head?
In case you think we are overstating Frank
You are overstating
Luntz's allegiance to corporate power, take a look.
Oh, allegiance to corporate power. No. Of course, if he didn't have an allegiance to corporate power, he wouldn't work for the Republican National Committee.
Look at his Twitter feed sometime if you're ever bored. Quote,
okay.
Delta employees made them the top-rated airline, he wrote last January, in what sounded very much like a...
Sorry, January 20th. Oh, the day... Oh, God. And on the day Biden was sworn in. More corporate executives are realizing that treating your employees in the world at large well is very good for business. Delta employees made them the top-rated airline last year. That's something that only good workers can do, not shareholders. Well, yeah, because they voted. Delta employees made them the top-rated. So an employee rating, everybody rated the company that they work for. Delta employees actually voted that Delta was their favorite one because I guess they allow them to scream at passengers, and it's nice.
Press release. That's something only good workers can do, not shareholders.
Right, because shareholders don't fill out that poll. He's a pollster. This is a poll thing. God damn. Like, I knew Tucker Carlson was dumb from his stints on Crossfire, but you guys have seen basically the extent of me watching this asshole show. With any, I've seen a few of his monologues off air to kind of go, is this a pattern? Is this guy incapable of keeping a coherent thought? Think of all the evidence that we have seen. This is his idea of a gotcha. A pollster citing a poll that's only filled out by employees, making the point that this is something where they have, that means they're going to get the best employees. That's going to lead to them having better customer service. Okay. Like, this is lame.
Then, not long ago, when Donald Trump called for boycotting Coca-Cola and Delta Airlines after they interfered in a very shocking way right in the middle of Georgia's political system, Luntz came to the defense of them. Of course, they're his clients.
Came to this left-wing cancel culture is out of control?
Left-wing cancel culture is out of control, he wrote mockingly. You got to wonder if Coca-Cola and Delta Airlines sent him a bonus for that.
What? What? Seriously, is he Tucker, do you smell burnt toast? What the hell? How is this? That's almost all Republicans post these days. What is he talking about? This is something Tucker Carlson would tweet, except he would, he'd find some way to make it cruel towards an individual.
We don't know. They should have. Either way, Toady...
What? This left-wing cancel culture is out of control. Is what? How is... God, I swear, I don't... I know he... Look, Tucker Carlson, maybe he needs his white supremacist writer back. I didn't really watch the monologues. Can you imagine if when he had like a lunatic incel white supremacist writing all of his opening monologues, if they were more cohesive? Now, and since then, who is helping him put these things? Is this Tucker by himself? Is this Tucker? Is this what it looks like when Tucker does his own homework? When he can't, knock on George McFly's head and make him turn in his paper in his handwriting? This is the weaviest, nonsensical bullshit.
For big corporations clearly pays well.
And now a word from our sponsors. What's your point?
Here's Frank Luntz showing off the replica of the Oval Office he had built in his home.
Where are you?
It was very kind of Donald Trump to give me his office, and I'm very fortunate. This is real. This is a chair. This is not a photograph. This is actually my home in California. This is a 78% replica of the Oval Office, and over
78%
here, as I turn this around, this is the Lincoln bedroom. So I'm the only person who has an.
And that's a. Wait a minute. Back up.
This around.
Hold on.
This is the Lincoln bedroom.
Pause. Stop. Is that a bathtub? With a sitz bath?
Here, as I
What's happening? What kind of creepy, Constitution porn is Frank Luntz into? He's got a Lincoln bedroom bed with a tub right there. Jesus, man. Hooker much? And then, what kind of... This looks like a fetishist. Or a serial killer.
78% replica of the Oval Office, and...
And the curtains match the shower curtain.
Over here, as I turn this around, this is the...
Oh, is that the tub over there, and that's a mirror? Oh, my God.
Lincoln bedroom. So I'm the only person who has an Oval Office that you can actually sleep in, and you don't have to be a presidential intern. And this is a genuine Resolute desk. I'm going to put it there behind me.
Oh, so this is where Joe Biden's really signing bills from. Is this the QAnon part of this?
So you can see, including the buck stops here.
Wow.
We've got the humidor from Bill Clinton. Let's see if I can get that in the shot.
All right. This is a grown man showing us his rubber room. He might as well just have a wall rack of dildos.
There you go. These are couches from Bill Clinton.
Wow.
This is the whole thing.
He's a LARPer. Who cares?
So obviously you could be pretty mean about that.
Why? I don't know. What does your house look like, Tucker? What's the hotel you guys you met Matt Gaetz at and had dinner at with that girl that was possibly underage, if not at the time when they had first started having sex, and that woman that was at dinner with both of you that Matt thought was your wife. The hotel room you guys stayed at in that hotel, what did it look like? Well, just this wallpaper. Just give us a basic rundown.
Pretty weird. But the point of this is not to
Yeah, he's a Republican.
attack Frank Luntz personally. Nice enough guy.
Except he's own mole for Google, I guess.
The question is asked, what's really going on here?
No one knows. You're a lunatic.
Would you take medical advice, for example, from Frank Luntz? Should you?
Why would I take medical advice from you? You've given it out.
You have to.
Why? And no one is taking medical advice from Frank Luntz. They're taking marketing advice because he's been successful at it.
Well, if you've listened to him recently, he very much wants you to take the vaccine. Vaccines are great.
And?
Only a crazy person wouldn't get the shot.
Right. Yes, a crazy person.
Frank Luntz hasn't said a lot, however, about his longtime work for Pfizer.
I'm sorry, does everyone get the Pfizer vaccine? Is he just playing the odds that out of the 3 available or the 4 available, you'll get the one he gets paid by? He got it. Did he get the Pfizer one? I'm guessing yes.
Huh, that's weird.
You're weird. What the hell are you saying? Why would I take advice from a Swanson heir who used to be known for his bow ties and mom cuts, who now is known for his crinkled brow inability to understand basic premises?
Where does he brag about his work for Purdue Pharma? Remember that company? Purdue Pharma, those are the people that got rural America addicted to opioids.
Yeah, big Republican donors.
Kind of wrecked the center of the country.
Oh, yeah? Hold on one second. Point of privilege, if I may. You tuckhead. Purdue. Let's see. The Sacklers. Trump. There we go. Let's see. Try Sackler Family. Let's see. Donate to. Ba-ba-da. There's a wild. Whoops. Oh, can't get into the. It's behind a paywall. Let's see. Opinion Justice Department failed to do its job as any other 2020 Attorney General Justice Department deal on there you go. Let's see. Rally part.
President Trump fired up overnight in his first rally since Robert Mueller concluded his investigation.
Let's see. Trump takes the podium. More Facebook problems. New York State is banning the Sackler family. No. Okay. So Trump complained here. Where is it? There we go. About the New York State is suing the family behind this company that makes OxyContin, expanding the already existing lawsuit against other opioid manufacturers and distributors. Sackler family with Jones Purdue Pharma is coming under increased scrutiny over their legacy of producing the highly addictive painkiller. ABC Soo Yoon comes into a prestigious man, and then they go through this bit or whatever. But he was bitching about it at that rail thing. I'd have to go through his whole speech to find it. Where are we? There's Tucker.
In 2003, as the opioid epidemic devastated the entire regions of the United States, Frank Luntz encouraged people to take more OxyContin. Are we making this up? No, we're not. Quote,
I am a proponent of the pharmaceutical industry. I believe in these heart medications and these anti-cancer drugs. Luntz to PBS.
I'm a proponent of the pharmaceutical industry, Frank Luntz told PBS. I'm a supporter of a very famous medication right now, OxyContin, because I think that this is a miracle drug.
That's not what we're seeing, but okay.
Which allows people to get through the day. Now,
okay, there we go. I am a supporter. Yes, he's a Republican strategist. He was actually deep in at that point.
Some people,
for whatever liberal he was, I don't know. Has Joe Biden ever come out and said, I'm for OxyContin, this is a miracle drug?
Well, Frank Luntz acknowledged, quote, want to see OxyContin taken off the market, but not Frank Luntz. He was taking money from Purdue Pharma. Quote, I believe that there are things worth fighting for.
Yeah, He's a Republican.
Yeah, apparently. A lawsuit filed against Purdue Pharma by the state of
Yeah.
Massachusetts in 2019 includes multiple references to Frank Luntz. According to that suit, Luntz and his company helped Purdue Pharma devise ways of, quote, deflecting blame from Purdue's addictive drugs by stigmatizing people who become addictive.
Yeah. He did for them what he did for the Republican Party.
The state of Vermont filed a similar lawsuit against Purdue Pharma.
Can we understand this? What is this? 14 minutes long, 13 minutes long. This clip of Tucker Carlson's opening monologue on the show. He spent a quarter of his show on Friday night attacking a Republican pollster who has helped Republicans win for years. So if we're going to take away something good today, there it is.
And it also mentioned Frank Luntz. According to those lawsuits, Luntz proposed that Purdue Pharma adopt a strategy of emphasizing some, quote, key messages that work. But
yeah, that's what he does.
Those words were spelled in all caps for emphasis. One of those messages, and we're quoting, it's not addiction, it's abuse. It's about personal responsibility.
Yeah. You know who also said that all the time? Rush Limbaugh.
Right.
Who was, by the way, at that point, trafficking painkillers, opiates.
So your 19-year-old just died of a drug OD after Purdue Pharma flooded your town with addictive narcotics. But stop complaining. It's her fault she died.
Oh, she's a she. That's good.
It's about personal responsibility.
Yeah, that's what Rush Limbaugh said at the exact same time.
This is the guy Republican leaders just went to this week for, quote, messaging guidance on.
Was Tucker originally supposed to be there and then they cut him for Frank Luntz?
Hot topics. And you wonder why you no longer recognize the party that you vote for.
Yeah, I mean, I think more than likely that you don't recognize it because it's run by far-right extremists.